Hi everyone, this is Jared O'Lantern, and I'm here with a prop review. I'm actually going to be kind of sort of reviewing the same prop, just different versions. These are the posable dummy props that Spirit Halloween has been selling for the last few years. The one to the left, the full-size one, it measures about a little over 5 feet tall, and the one to the right measures just under about 4 feet. So whether you want to call these adult and child or just, large and small, these are really cool items to pick up. The large one to the left I actually picked up last year, and I used it in a particular scene, and people really thought that he was the costume that I dressed him up in, that it was a real person. So effect was definitely achieved. And I just picked up the small one to the right. I picked that one up just a couple days ago at my local Spirit. Not too impressed with too many of the animatronics or props that Spirit came out with this year. There's a couple of online only props that I really liked, but in terms of in-store stuff, I'd rather buy something like this where I can just make my own thing, and change it up from year to year, so you don't have to worry about, or at least I don't have to worry about, if I buy a prop, if it's not going to fit a theme that I have, I can just make my own theme. So let's go ahead and take both of these guys out of the box and we can get a better look at what they look like. Alright, so here they both sit out of the box. Not too creepy looking, right? But the one to the left, I didn't realize that I had actually left the clothing on from when I used him last year. So he actually already has his costume clothes on, whatever you want to say. And the one to the right, and as you can tell, this is pretty much how you will get the item out of the box. It's kind of like just like a beige, not so much to look at type of a outfit. They are stuffed with it's like a cotton, maybe batting type of a stuffing in them. They really are substantially stuffed. The only problem is you really have to get a perfect position for them to stay still. I know the box does claim that they will stand up on their own, or excuse me, sit up on their own, but you really have to kind of maneuver. So you can see the little one to the right, I really had to kind of push him into the corner of that chair for him to stand upright, or to sit upright. And the one to the left, he does have a pillow behind him. That's not that big of a deal. I mean, they really do have realistic looks to them, in the face, especially the eyes. And we'll take closer looks at all those things right now. This kind of harkens back to like the old days of Halloween, when people would make dummy props for their front porches. And I know I used to do that for sure. And you would just get clothing and a mask, and then you just like stick a pillow in them and then stuff the legs with like newspaper or whatever. But these really do not only do the work for you, but they really do look realistic. And Spirit did a really good job making these. One thing I did notice, and I did not notice this on the big guy to the left, and I think he does it too, but the heads do adjust. And I don't even know if that's even a feature mentioned on the box, and I don't think it is. But yeah, the heads do move from side to side, so if you want it to look in a certain direction, you can also do that. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the details closely. So this is the head and the face of the 5-foot guy. So realistic looking in the sense that everything's in proportion. And of course, once you add your own mask, it'll definitely add to the creepiness factor. Coming down to the hands are what are really impressive to me. The hands, look, and he's gonna fall. I know he'll fall, but it's fine. The hands are super realistic. So, I mean, depending on your character, it would be almost a shame to cover these with like gloves or whatever you would use for the costume, because of the fact these look so realistic. You kind of want them to look like it's a real person sitting in here. And then you come down here to the feet, and then you can see the feet are also pretty realistic as well. And then pretty much the same thing with the smaller dummy prop. Great attention to detail on the face, and he's going to slip as well. Great attention to detail on the hands and also on the feet. One thing that they do say on the box is they do not stand up on their own, and obviously they don't. But I'm sure it'd be pretty easy to get these guys to stand up. You could do, put like a 2x4 or something behind them and kind of conceal it. One thing I really do like about the eyes is they have that kind of glossy effect, as you can tell. Not necessarily as effective as like a Distortions Unlimited prop, how they have like their glossy eyes. But Spirit definitely took the measures to make their eyes look more glossy, to make them look more realistic, and that's on both of them. So I really do like these. I'm gonna go ahead and put a mask. I'll actually use the mask that I used for this guy last year, so you can see what he looked like in our haunt. So let me go get that mask real quick. So this is the mask that I had used for the larger dummy prop last year. And to my recollection, I believe we had like a severed head and a knife in his hands, kind of resting in his lap. But you can see the combination of the mask on his face and kind of like the glossiness and realisticness of the eyes really does give a good effect. And I think that a lot of people were freaked out by him. They really thought he was a real person. And if you think about it, someone who thinks that a dummy prop is real is probably going to be a more effective scare than an animatronic that they know is not real, if you know what I'm saying. So although these guys don't move, and I know they're not necessarily cheap either, but for buying a prop that doesn't move, I know a lot of people probably would not want to invest in something like that. I think the creepiness factor is definitely there for these props. Now, in terms of price, I think they could be a little less expensive. The large one is $70, and the small one is $60. And obviously, you can do the math and take off the 20% off coupon that you will inevitably use. But nonetheless, I think that they are awesome scare props that people will think they're real. Now, my biggest complaint about these are the fact that they do not sit up easily on their own. The box actually says sits up on their own. If you're lucky. If you're lucky, they'll sit up on their own. Otherwise, you really have to kind of maneuver them. As you can see, I actually had to kind of squirm his legs a little bit to make sure that he's kind of sitting upright. What I wish they would do was put some sort of like flat bottom, like on their rear area, so that they could sit up more easily. And you see, this guy's almost tipping over. Obviously, when it comes time to your the night of your haunt, you can manipulate them in any way to make sure that they are going to be sitting upright. But the possibility of them sitting upright just on first try, definitely not going to happen. You're going to have to work with it a little bit, and that's my biggest complaint. Otherwise, I think they are well proportioned. They're well filled with, like I said, the cottony type of feeling they have. It's pretty substantial here, and you can pose it in any way you want. But that's about it, and I really do recommend them. If you're like me and you're not totally in love with any of the props or animatronics that Spirit came out with this year, this would definitely be the way to go. So you can basically make whatever you want. So that's about it. These are, again, the posable dummy props from Spirit Halloween. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give them an 8. Drop them down slightly just because they do not sit up on their own as advertised. But we'll see what I do with them this year. It should be fun to come up with costumes. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you're seeing, please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, keep it creepy.